Sir, 1 minute to go.
Thank you, Bhopal. Good morning, everybody. This is Ranganathan again to be with you this morning. Good morning again. Today, we are on the 10th theme. I've taken the journey of going through 50 different themes on Japan using Japanese stamps through the philately of Japan to be with you. Today we are finishing 10. That means 20% of the journey we have already done. And I'll continue to do my best. Mata gambarimasu kara minasan yoroshiku onagai itashimasu. Thank you. Today's theme will be we'll be presenting on the magnificent Fuji-san through Japanese stamps. Mount Fuji has been most attractive thing about Japan in any country's stamps. Every country which has produced stamp, one or other stamp will be on Mount Fuji. So I'm trying to take you through a walk on the slopes of Mount Fuji through the stamps of Japan. First, let's understand about Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji is a symbol of Japan. This mountain contributes to Japan's physical, cultural, and spiritual geography. Fuji-san is the tallest mountain in Japan, standing at 3,776 meters high. Japan is located in the most geographically active part of the planet, the Ring of Fire. I've shown you the Ring of Fire at the bottom. The South Pacific, the eastern rim of Asia, and the western edge of the Americas is what we call as the Ring of Pacific Fire, full of a lot of volcanoes all over, which can erupt anytime, which cause a lot of inconvenience and trouble to people who live around Ring of Fire. This region is known for the volcanic eruptions and earthquakes, and Japan is no exception to that. Fuji-Hoye eruption was preceded by a massive earthquake when they had the earthquake. The estimated 8.6 magnitude of earthquake likely to trigger by Fuji's erupt. It is said that when Fuji had the last eruption, the lava and ashes reached almost Tokyo. Today's Mount Fuji is called Fuji-san, which is a dormant, good boy volcano, posing beautifully for the photographers and artists. Great ukiyo masters Okusai and Hiroshige drew Fuji-san with reverence, and many of their prints have become eye-catching, attractive stamps, themes for today, and also they are also themes for today. Many of the Japanese stamps you can definitely see without both the artists and their ukiyo prints, you cannot have a stamp exhibition or any philatelic exhibition of Japan anytime. Mount Fuji is the single most popular tourist site in Japan, both Japanese and for foreign students. More than 2 lakh people climb to the summit every year, mostly during the warmer summer months. Huts on the route up, the mountain on the mountain caters to the climbers, providing refreshments, basic medical supplies, and room to rest. Don't expect a big luxurious stay. Many people start climbing Mount Fuji at night, as better to experience sunrise from the summit in Japan. After all Japan is known to everybody as a land of the rising sun. And it is also a strong belief that if you are able to climb on Mount Fuji and watch the sunrise, if you are lucky enough, without any other clouds, you will be very lucky. Even when we go in the Shinkansen, they say if you see Mount Fuji, it's a very lucky thing. Fuji-san is also connected to luck in one's life. The sunrise from Fuji-san has a special name, Goraiko. Mount Fuji has been a sacred site for practices of Shinto, which is the native religion of Japan, since at least 7th century. Shinto is the indigenous faith of spirituality in Japan. Many Shinto shrines dot the base of where you climb Mount Fuji. Shinto shrines honor Kami. Kami is what they call in Japanese God. Only few religions, most of the religions in the world always started with the Kami, that especially sun as the prime god. Later on, of course, many religions have come and then prophets have come, all that. But Shinto is a ancient religion of Japan, which honor gods and supernatural deities of Shinto faith. The Kami of Mount Fuji is the Princess Konohana Sakuya, which is a symbol of cherry blossom. Konohana Sakuya has been the earlier series of shrines called Segan shrines. Many Segan shrines are at the base and summit of Mount Fuji. The head shrine of the 1,300 Segan shrines in Mount Fujisan Segan shrine, which is located at Fujinomiya city. Most of the shrine's current buildings were built by Tokugawa Ieyasu in early 1,600 years. Now, historically, Fujisan shrines are entrance point to the climb of the Fujisan. However, when the nation's center of political war shifted from Kyoto to Edo, the new Tokyo, the northern trail was easier to access and eventually became the most popular route called the Yoshida Trail. The Yoshida Trail is far more the most popular trail to the summit of Mount Fuji and is very crowded throughout the hiking season. Beginning at the Mount Fuji Subaru Line 5th station, the path zigzags up to the mountain on the north side, giving some very splendorous, epic views of scenery. The trail is relatively flat and is well-established path, making it easier trail to the summit. There are shops, information offices, toilets, and such facilities are available there. And this route is largest number of mountain climbers route because there are a lot of mountain huts also available. You'll be using a different trail to descend, to go up, and one to come differently. Now, on the left-hand side, I've shown a cover which is stamped. At the summit, there is a post office. Every climber can, so this is somebody who has taken pains to make a first-day cover with Mount Fuji at the back, and the olden days Tazawa stamps and Mount Fuji scenery stamp, which is the first stamp of Mount Fuji in scenery stamp series, and then got them stamped on the mountain post office, which is supposed to be the highest post office, which is open only during that season. Now, cancel at the summit post office is there. It takes about 6 hours to go up and 4 hours to come down. A total distance of 13 kilometers to climb up and an altitude of 2,000 because you can go only up to a point, not the real peak, maybe not possible. So up to your top, you can go where you have a flat place from where you can watch sunrise, everything. Now coming to a philatelic interest, there is a post office on Mount Fuji. There is a post office on top of Mount Fuji, and it is also a very popular attraction to many summiters. And close to 18,000 people visit in summer to this post office. Maybe 2 lakh people visit Mount Fuji, but 18,000 to 20,000 people visit this post office in summer, sending nearly 90,000 pieces of mail, all stamped on the post office. The first day covers whatever they take it and go, whether it's a stamp like what I outpost was one that thrived. Picture on the right-hand corner top shows a staff helping a hiker and his two sons with number of queries on Mount Fuji, postages, first day stamping. Okay. Matsumi, the postmaster of Mount Fuji branch, said as long as hikers climbed the mountain, the postal service would want to keep it open. Its most famous and highest elevation post office branch. The people who climb Fuji want to make some real special memories. So we're not so much worried about the particular post office, but in serving people is what they are interested. Now, look at these beautiful stamps in three single color stamps, green and then carmine red and blue. They show Mount Fuji and deer. They're called as Mount Fuji and deer stamps. The postal changes for mail sent overseas was revised with the basic charges set at double the previous cost. Charges were 4 cents, not yen, to send printed matter, 6 cents to send a postcard, and 20 cents for a letter. 3 stamps featuring design of Mount Fuji with a deer were issued to become known as the Fuji deer stamps. This is the first time that design showing scenery had been used as a standard stamp. These were made of large die. They were the first issue, the old die. And then the stamps are printed using a 3-color green, red, blue, and these are the colors established by the Universal Postal Union, to which Japan has also become a member in 1887. And each denomination has a different color. The stamps are issued with various subsequent color changes almost until 1937. The Fuji and the deer, they stayed on this. And this initial days, the paper that was used was the granite paper. Later on, plain paper was also used. And in order to prevent people using forgeries and other things, they also had a watermark, wavy lines, type 4. I've also shown what is that watermark is like. Now, I've been talking about Fuji and scenery. This is the one stamp out of a set of 3. They made in 1925, the overseas postal regulations were revised and postal charges were reduced. To correspond with this, a new overseas postal charges, 3 types of stamps featuring Mount Fuji, and then second was Tosho Shrine in Nikko and Nagoya Castle were issued. I've not shown the other 2 stamps. I'm only showing a Mount Fuji stamp that is brought out. That is 2 cent stamp that is made. These were the first standard when we start state standard. There's a regular stamp in Japan to have a rectangular shape. Before that, they were all vertical. This thing, there's a rectangular shape. The stamps are well-known places in Japan, and these stamps have become the scenery stamps. What I'm talking about, all the 3 stamps that I talked about, out of which Mount Fuji is one. These 3 stamps below, the ones that we see below, were issued on various types of paper and different colors until 1937. Old die color, in the old die, whatever was the color, those colors were changed. What I showed you in the first one, the colors are changed. Again, you can see the watermark to make sure that nobody forges these stamps. Then if you see new die, colors change, new dies are brought from the old dies. The new colors you can see here, as you see here. And then the pattern of the watermark has also got changed. Then from the new die, they changed it from the granite paper to white paper. That is called the Showa issue, new die. So Showa issue, new die again, change the colors, green, and then it had a brown and a blue. These are but the value of the stamps remained the same, 4, 8, and 20. There was no changes, but the colors are changed. But when it came to Showa issue, you can see with the new die and the white paper, the watermark design has also changed. Okay, wavy lines W3 is what they call. It has become W3. That is a type of a thing to make sure nobody forges these stamps. And if there are forgery, people who collect stamps or people use them, they can also find out by looking at the watermarks. Then there was 1937, a new smaller die was used image was 18.5 by 22 millimeters. There were two colors that were used, green and blue. That is in 1937, in the month of April. Then the same 1937, in the month of May, okay, again, another small dye, new changes, but the color, if you see along with the green, you also got a brown, and the watermark has also got changed. So therefore, if you can see, almost the same till 1937, same Fuji and Deer, they were traveling along with the stamp lovers, stamp users, and philatelists. Now, this is called Hyuga Monument and Mount Fuji. There's a very interesting story behind the monument. You can see the monument on the stamp on the left-hand side, and the photo down below, that's a monument. According to Japanese legend, okay, in Nihon Shoki is the ancient, the Japanese history book or something that's there. Following the conquest of Kumaso people, Emperor Keiko watched the sunrise over the ocean and said, "This country faces straight towards the sunrise." From that time onwards, the province was known as Hyuga or Hinata, that means country of facing sun. And after Meiji restoration, this was named as Miyazaki. So today, Miyazaki is called as a place of a province of rising sun. The Hyuga monument originated with the sailing of Emperor Jimmu. Jimmu was supposed to be, according to the Japanese mythology, the grandson of the sun goddess Amaterasu. So Jimmu was supposed to be the first emperor also. Okay, Emperor Jimmu's navy sailed from the land of Mizuzu. The rising sun flag that you can see flying there was there from there, and then that is being still used as a symbol of the Japanese self-defense. Next to the shrine is, next to the monument is a shrine called Tachiban Shrine, where Emperor Jimmu is said to have prayed for safe voyage and set out for his trip to Yamato to the west, which is today's Osaka is that day Kansai. We call it as Kansai. So that's Yamato to the west. And the rock, you can see a rock seat there, set where he has sat and enshrined his sacred body there. So Mount Fuji and Hyuga Monument, together they formed another stamp series in 1942. Then people got really too much of this thing, so they wanted to have a change of design. The design of Tazawa stamps. See, before this, the plain Tazawa stamps, maybe we'll show them another time, that have been used from 1913. And they lost the Tazawa stamps. I should have put one more of that here, I'm sorry. Lost appeal with the changing times. There were suggestions that the stamps with a new design should be issued. New stamps featuring picture designs in keeping touch with the popular taste of the time were issued. These stamps, if you see what are the popular requirements, is Mount Fuji and Sakura. Okay, so you can see there are two stamps that are issued in 1942, 1945. That's a period. You can see Mount Fuji is there both, and Sakura is there. The down below, you can see Mount Fuji with the clouds. Okay, both Sakura and Mount Fuji symbolize Japan. So, and descent stayed on to wartime look. See, with the 1942-45, Japan was in war. Stamps issue enter period of confusion. Okay, because there was a war. With the start of the Pacific War, stamps with wartime look began appearing. Okay, you can see when we talk about the thing, you can see wartime stamp issues with the pilots there and people who are working occasional stamps. They were all there, which we will show another theme, not on this theme. Okay, designs depicting the war sought from the general public. As the war continued, shortage of material, labor developed. The quality of paper and glue, what they apply at the back of the stamp, declined, and most of the stamps are printed by relief printing method, which required very little labor. The Tokinagawa printing shop was destroyed by fire in the air raid in April 1945. And once again, printing of stamps was consigned to a private corporation. During this period, extreme confusion, it was difficult to make all stamps uniform, and there was differences in paper, color used. Some stamps did not have perforations or globe. So that's why you can see them without perforations at the end. The simple lithography printing method was reverted to during this period. So that's the time Mount Fuji along with Sakuras appeared. On the Mount Fuji, you can see the white bars there, the clouds that are floating around Mount Fuji. Then another single color thing, it was orange that came, and sort of a deep indigo or gray is there. Then now this cap clouded kasaguma. Kasa is umbrella. Umbrella, a type of cloud, is a kind of lenticular or lens-shaped cloud covering the summit of Mount Fuji. When warm air containing a lot of moisture comes strongly from windward and upward to the mountain slope, moisture starts condensing from the clouds. When the air temperature drops under the dew point, types of clouds such as banner cloud, which looks like floating flags extending. That's why you can see them all in the thing. From the middle to the top of the mountain, they are called band cloud, which resemble a belt going around the middle of the mountain, can also be observed at Mount Fuji. We must not forget, clouds are also an important factor to consider when discussing the beautiful scenery of Mount Fuji. Okay, Sakura below and Mount Fuji and clouds, they form a beautiful combination in these stamps at that time. Now, then comes our great Okusai. This is one of the Okusai's great work. You can see it is also in monocolor. Use of the imperial chrysanthemum crest, though you can see now in all the stamps, it was abolished and designs with a wartime theme were prohibited. Okay. After the end of the war, 1945, Japan establishment began to embrace democracy and peace. In 1947, Allied Forces General Headquarters, okay, General Douglas MacArthur was there. His headquarters were, they were occupied Japan, and Japan was under occupation. They were trying to bring it out. They made Shinto from a state religion, Shinto become non-state religion, like that. Number of things a bit. Okay, abolished 25 types of stamps with a militaristic design and which were still in use at that time. The competition for design appropriate for the new post-war era of peace was held. A stamp with a winning design was issued as a part of new group, which became known as New Showa stamp, because Showa Emperor was there. At that time, the characters of Japanese Empire Post was replaced by characters of Japan Post. That's why it became Japan Post. And in 1945, use of imperial chrysanthemum crest on stamps was abolished. From this time, the characters appearing in the stamp was arranged in order from left to right, opposite to the previous series. Now, if you see this one stamp down below, it has got a pale dull blue stamp, depicts monochrome details of thunderstorm. See, these oxides, the thing, clouds below, thunderstorm below the Mount Fuji, and you can see smaller mountain like 3 or 4 of them there. Okay, the reverse white jagged pattern at the lower right is a lightning striking. So that is what it is. That's not really a mountain, but it's a lightning striking. The design was previously used in 1946-47 New Showa series, definitive, perforated, and this color issued in October 1946. Now, this is a block of 4. So the block of 4 of all the 3 stamps, they're all, you can see, not perforated. And the block of 4, one is vertical block of 4 is there. Then, of course, this you have also seen in my earlier Mount Fuji and the great Buddha of Kamakura. And DC-4 aircraft flying across. Now you can see Mount Fuji is depicted in a very small way. This is again a beautiful way of giving the perspective. Buddha big and Mount Fuji is small. But Mount Fuji is a very distinctive feature of the geography of Japan. So it stands, and then whatever is the thing, people can always identify. That's why when we talk about in the management classes, one of the things we compare is Mount Fuji to our managers. They say as a manager, if you there are almost all the volcanic mountains are conical in shape, because that's the way the fire has to come out. But there are very similar looking, like Mount Fuji, very similar looking mountains are there in Japan. But in spite of that, if you show Mountain Fuji and other photographs, other things, to a child, the child can immediately say, this is Mount Fuji. So we tell in the management training classes, your manager must be like Mount Fuji. Water may be very similar guy. Everybody must have something unique about him. And if you see, if you ask people, where does Mount Fuji end? Where does Mount Fuji start? People cannot say exactly this is where Mount Fuji starts or ends. So like that, on the job, you cannot say, this is my job and I will not do this. So we say, you should be like Mount Fuji. And later on, I'll show you one of the reflections in Mount Fuji. We also say, like Mount Fuji and its reflection, you should also reflect on your past act so that you can make kaizen or continuous improvement. So Mount Fuji has got a lot of meaning in not only in the philatelic world, but also in the management area. Now, the first New Year stamp. So for Japan started printing New Year stamps separately. Last time also I've shown that for the New Year greeting stamps, we have a separating. The first greeting stamp was published in 1935 on December 1st. And if you see 1935, okay, only by 45, 48, the chrysanthemum was abolished. So you can see the chrysanthemum logo on the top and carried the image of Mount Fuji. Whatever they do, Mount Fuji will always have a part of that. And then on top, you can see a block of 4 that I have. And this is Mount Fuji. It was printed by National Printing Bureau of Japan, the first this thing. And this is done by typographic method of printing. Now, Japan has also, in order to promote tourism, they also have what you call as national parks, and they brought out national parks series of photographs. The first national park series that they brought out, again with Mount Fuji, they cannot go without Mount Fuji. This was issued in 1936. Okay, 1935 was the first New Year. The next was 1936. In the month of July 10th, it is issued in 4 colors. Okay, this is in Fuji Hakone Izu National Park. It's a national park in Yamanashi, Shizuoka, Kanagawa Prefecture, and Western Tokyo Metropolis, Japan. Consists of Mount Fuji, 5 lakes below Mount Fuji, Hakone, the Izu Peninsula, and the Izu Islands. Fuji Hakone National Park covers almost 1,227 square kilometers. It means it's a huge this thing. Now, they also brought out the second Fuji Hakone, second issue was brought. This park is a collection of dispersed tourist sites that again dot this region. The furthest point of this park down south is the Isle of Hachijojima and several hundred kilometers from Mount Fuji. Though it's several hundred kilometers, it's a part of the park. The park includes a variety of geographic features, including natural hot springs, coastlines, mountainous areas, lakes, and more than 1,000 volcanic islands. Vegetation in the park ranges from species of mountainous trees and subtropical vegetation. Fuji Hakone Izu Peninsula National Park was established in February 2nd, 1936 as a Fuji Hakone National Park and is one of the 4 national parks established in Japan. This stamp was issued in 1940. The earlier first set was issued in 1936. This was issued in July 15th. And this is the time it was printed with photogravure way of printing. And first time, if you see the difference, I'll show you again. The last set of stamps, you got 1.5, 3, 6, 10. They're all in sen. Okay. Then now for the first stamp, you can see them in yen. That's why 2 is followed by 2 zeros. Every letter is followed by 2 zeros. Therefore, the pricing has become in yens now on. Okay. Then Yamanashi Prefecture is where Fuji and its 5 lakes are located. There's a beautiful stamp pane is there, what we call as a pane, which has got 10 stamps. Okay, they're of course second-hand in a way that vertically, if you see them, they're multicolor. It's a booklet pane, and then all these lakes: Lake Yamanaka, Lake Kawaguchi, Lake Saiko, Lake Shoji, Lake Motosu. All these lakes are below Mount Fuji, and you can see beautiful reflection of Mount Fuji in Lake Motosu. You can see the last picture. You can see it's such a clear picture of Mount Fuji. Kindly have a look at this picture now. And then later on, I'll show you one other thing where Okusai has drawn Mount Fuji's reflection, where it's a very again interesting thing. We'll discuss about it when I come to that stamp. Now, for this stamp, if you see, there's a reflection. Mount Fuji, exactly how it is on top, the same thing is reflected down below. Now, this is souvenir sheet. Thunderstorm beneath the summit is known as rainstorm beneath the summit, or whatever it is. Again, it's Hokusai's thing. Now, this is called Kuro Fuji or Black Fuji. There are, because Hokusai drew Fuji in two this thing. One is the Kuro Fuji, another one is Aka Fuji. Now, one of the most famous prints of celebrated 36 views is this. Again, if you see, this is the same thing that you have seen in earlier prints also. Now, all 5 of them are the same thing, printed next to each other without any perforation, imperforated, and this is souvenir sheet. In May 1947, that's the first time, 1947, the first philatelic exhibition was held in Tokyo, and November 47, for the first time, first philatelic week was started. For the philatelic week to be started, there was a stamp to be issued. Normally, it's a commemorative event. Therefore, for the commemorative event, they issued this souvenir sheet with 5 monocolor Hokusai's print as a souvenir sheet in blue color. And this is for the first philatelic week. Again, it has got a wavy pattern watermark so that people don't do anything. And this time, this printing was done by offset lithography and ink. The miniature sheet is 1 yen, pale, dull blue, and 5 copies. 1 yen. And look at the spelling of yen. Those days, yen was spelled as E-N, not Y-E-N. So I've written as 1 yen. But in the stamp, you will see it as E-N. Monochrome details of thunderstorm below the mountain Fuji by Hokusai in 1821. The reversed out white jagged pattern of lower right is lightning striking, which I've been telling about there. The design was previously used in the new Showa design definitives or the regular stamps. Now, you can see the same thing. Okay, the 10th anniversary of Hokusai, they had to release a commemorative stamp. And what they've done, Hokusai, same souvenir sheet, they overprinted them. Many times, many postal services, they do overprinting because it's very economical. And maybe the previous souvenir sheet, more of that has stayed. So instead of throwing them away or something, they reuse it with a overprint. So it's one of the best ways, economical ways of remembering and commemorating an event by overprinting. When you have previous prints, what we have printed as indexes, they are there. Soon after publication of blocks were slightly damaged after this thing, and with the loss of one of the brown dots below the summit and the end of the Isu brush off character from Hokusai's signature. Now that's how that block has got damaged. Impressions made before this have continuous blue down the sky. Wiped. See, look at the right hand side picture. I've shown it in color how Hokusai's print has been corrected. Okay, so making clear and tear shapes with a cumulus clouds rather than leaving a wide band of uninky sky across. See, you can see all the clouds, cumulus clouds across center, thereby losing their tops. Now, the later impression, the publisher introduced some significant changes. The sky is now rendered in purplish gray, you can see on the top, and with a band of yellow on the top. A flash of the lightning bolt vividly silhouettes group of trees. You can see the trees down below. And these are all later on added. But all these details you don't see in the monocolor. What happens in color, you start missing them in monocolor. But this stamp was done in monocolor. Now, the next stamp I would like to introduce Mount Fuji is in Suruga Bay. Is a bay on the Pacific coast of Honshu and Shizuoka Prefecture in Japan. It is situated north of a straight line from Omiyazaki. Please, they're all locations, don't worry about them. But all I want you to know is this is a bay, the coast of Honshu, and you can see down below. There's been again this beautiful road leading in Honshu, and then Fuji appearing has also been used. Another stamp where they're combining this along with the first Shinkansen that is there. I'll show you that stamp also. So that is also a beautiful stamp. You can see Suruga Bay, and then this road leading to Suruga Bay is also there in the stamp. And then this was as a part of the 1951-52 tourist series. There is a tourist series stamp that is there. The Suruga Bay stamp was published as a part of them. Then Mount Fuji and Lake Motosu. I showed you Motosu had a beautiful reflection of Mount Fuji there. Also here I'm showing them Motosu with the Mount Fuji's reflection. The 5,000 yen note, 1,000 yen, they all have Mount Fuji in them. Lake Motosu is the westernmost of the Fuji 5 lakes and located on the border of the towns of Fujigawa Kuchiko and Minobu in southern Yamanashi Prefecture near Mount Fuji, Japan. Lake Motosu is the third largest of the Fuji 5 lakes in terms of surface area and is the deepest with a maximum water depth of 121.6 meters, almost 400 feet, making it 9th deepest lake in Japan. This surface elevation of 900 meters, that is 3,000 feet, is the same as the lake of Shoji and Lake Sai, confirming that the three lakes were generally might have been a single lake, which is divided by enormous lava flowed from Fuji. That's why one lake has become three now. I mean, the lake and its view of Mount Fuji were featured in a Series D of Japanese 5,000 and Series E of Japanese 1,000 notes. Now, the one Fuji that you see at the back is the Aka Fuji, again by Hokusai. The IPU Assembly, known as the Inter-Parliamentary Conference, is the principal statutory body that expresses the views of Inter-Parliamentary Union on political issues. It brings together parliamentarians to study international problems and make recommendations for action. This assembly works in accordance with its rules. Participation of permanent observers of IPU Assembly regulated practical modalities of the rights and responsibilities of observers. Most members are affiliated to one of the geopolitical groups that are currently active in the IPU. This 10 yen multicolored stamp, size 30 by 26 millimeter, was issued on 27 September 1960. Shows the Japanese Parliament, the Diet building, with Hokusai's Akafuji at the back. There's a first day cover also there down below. Now we also have what we call as Philo Nippon. Philo Nippon is philatelic Nippon exhibition that every year or that goes on rotation, maybe every 5 years or 10 years, I do not know. This is Philo Nippon mostly. If you see the big wave of Kanagawa, great Kanagawa wave by Hokusai, and the other people all by Hokusai, they are there. Hokusai's 36 views of Mount Fuji has also got this great wave. And of course, the other one you see, that's, I think, Moronobu's Beauty Looking Back is the one which is in earlier time. She is also here. And other actors of and then courtesans, and the others. Portraits are there in the Philonippon. And Okusai's main Kanagawa, great way of Kanagawa, forms a part of the stamp. Now, Philonippon 11 is where this is a commemorative sheet that they made. The commemorative sheet has got a stamp and a label. You can see the label, and that's a Philonippon label. So you can also buy a label, stamp with or without a label, but stamp with a label has got a greater value. Commemorating Japan's World Stamp Exhibition, Japan released Philonippon 11 stamp size of 187 by 215 millimeter, 10 stamps with labels. The sheet was printed offset lithography with a comb of perforations. There are 10 stamps, 80 yens each value. The sheet was released on 28 July 2011. Again, it is from all the stamps are from Okusai's 36 views of Mount Fuji. And then from January 29 to February 29, 2016, the pictures of the same ukiyo-e woodblock prints of Okusai were used. One is the Akafuji on the left, and then the Great Wave of Kanagawa. I always think the Great Wave of Kanagawa is, I will talk about a little later also. It's a great contribution to the artistic world, and it talks cultural factors of Japan, which I'll talk to you a little later. And then there were the postcards that were released, and then for them, the greeting stamps also have both Okusai's Great Wave and also the Akafuji. Now, this 2016, the postcards, there are two types of postcards. The front is always for you to put the stamps. That's why the block are there. And then the back side, you have this photograph. You can buy any of them. Now, the 140th year anniversary of Japan Postal Service 2011 had the gold foil stamps. Two of them are there, gold foil stamps. And one, of course, is a rabbit. Another one was the first two dragons looking at each other. And then this gold foil stamp has got a folder. The folder, again, on top of the folder, you can see the thunderstorm below the Mount Fuji by Okusai there. And Okusai and Hiroshige, without them, we would have not done anything. Now, if you look at this great picture of Okusai, I always tell this picture culturally has got something to do. If you look at the picture, there are three small boats are there. Okay, these boats are there. These boats have got people, and then they risk their life. So we always say Japan is full of challenges from nature. Either it could be a tsunami, earthquake, or anything. It's all the challenges of nature. Japanese know how to live with nature. They live in harmony with nature. They fear nature. They respect nature. They think they cannot but live without nature. So nature is an integral part of them. Harmony has been taught to them by nature, how to live in harmony. Okusai's, of course, this has been the picture that has made him much more popular. And of course, with the 36 views of Mount Fuji was one that made him popular. This stamp was, again, was printed and issued in 1963. Now I'm introducing some of the Okusai's 36 views stamps. They became stamps. I'm not able to, because of want of time, I don't want to do all the 36 stamps. But if you see this stamp, there are people who are going to different places from where they are able to view Mount Fuji. This work of Okusai presents the viewer travelers from Hokkaido Highway as they pass through a route called Kodogaya Station. This stamp was issued in 1964. You can see Mount Fuji there at the back. The travelers are going, somebody is resting, some palanquin carriers, they are resting, all them. Now, if you look at this picture, this is the most interesting picture of reflection. You see the mountain is on the right-hand side, but its reflection is on the left-hand side. Actually, normally it has to be there. and on the mountain there is no ice, but on the reflection you see ice capped. So this Uksha is trying to communicate so many things. On the right hand side is the original picture of Uksha. This print departs from the typical flat symbolic depiction of Mount Fuji and instead illustrates three-dimensional terrain. The Fuji reflected on the surface of the lake, however, shows the snow-capped summit with a smooth surface, larger than the actual mountain, and Uksha urges us to ask what is the real and what is unreal, like a Zen riddle. He balanced the composition by placing the mountain slightly to the right and reflection to the left. The lone fisherman in his boat enhances serenity, and ironically, the reflection of Mount Fuji shows the snow-capped peak, the element missing from the mountain itself. The two views of the mountain perhaps represent two seasons, with the traditional and more familiar view being the image in water. The pictorial trick encourages viewers to focus on the reflection. This is a part of the Zen. You know, the creator of Apple, Steve Jobs, was a great student of Zen. He was going to the Zen school in California. And then after that, when first iPhone was supposed to be created, he went and told the team, create a phone which is very cool. That's all. Like Zen riddle, he has left that thing. So everybody didn't know what is that he means by create something cool. So they asked him, what's cool? How cool? He said, as cool as the Beatles, and gone. And their own imagination, everything, brought not only the iPhone, now from iPhone 1 to maybe 13, 14, maybe it'll go any number of times. It's a lot of changes. Kaizen is continuous process. Then this again is Oksai and his people traveling. Browns, reds, and light blues tend to dominate the piece. It is interesting that much of the background remains devoid of tones. If you look at the right-hand side picture, is this picture, okay? And it's also thought this approach may have been the result of the strong religious beliefs, particularly later in his life. As witnessed in many of his other works, beyond Mount Fuji is clearly visible in the background. Now, similarly, from Owari province. Owari province is where you can see a carpenter working, making a drum, fixing it up with steel bond. Maybe such huge barrels are being used for many things in those days. Okay, and then through the barrel, if you see beautifully, you can see through the barrel Mount Fuji at a distance. The three-dimensional, bringing the thing nearer and the distance, the perspective. What an imagination! Beautiful picture that there. This stamp was brought in 1968. It's a commemorative stamp for Oksai's work. Then the International Year of Tourists. Again, Fuji becomes a thing. And of course, this is only a painting, not any ukiyo-e work, and with the birds flying around. Climbing Mount Fuji generally lasts from July, early July to beginning of September. When the weather is relatively mild, huts are operating, but crowded on weekends from July to late August, with the peak of Obon week. Obon is where ancestors are supposed to come back to, the souls of ancestors are supposed to come back to mate, and everybody will go back to the native place to pray to their ancestors' graves, and the families meet together. That's Obon period. Seeing the sunrise at the top of the Mount Fuji is for many a must-do, and most climbers plan their trip in that way. They arrive between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. on the top. If possible, aim to reach the peak before 3 a.m. To do so, you have to have two options. First, you start climbing Mount Fuji. In the afternoon, catch a few hours of sleep and at one of the mountain huts. This is quite popular. Most huts are booked and out for over a week. And second option is start climbing around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. and walk your way to the summit overnight without resting. But climbing, use the trail overnight. Seeing the twinkling lights below you, because you'll be climbing up so much, you will see the cities down below, and seeing the big sky with the stars, reaching the top before the sunrise, something very magical. Now, there is also on top of the Mount Fuji, they have a radar station. The Mount Fuji radar station is a historic weather radar system located on the summit of Fuji. So there's a beautiful stamp on that. That is the 10 stamp that you see on the left-hand side, 1965. The real radar system is, you can see here on the right. When it was built, Mount Fuji radar system was world's highest weather, 376 meters, 3,776 meters, and could observe major weather phenomena such as destructive typhoons at a range more than 800 kilometers. It is designed by Japan Meteorological Agency and built by Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. The system was decommissioned in 1999. It was superseded by weather satellites. The dome, radar dish, and support equipment relocated to a purpose of built museum in Fuji, Yamanashi in 2001. It was replaced by automated weather system in 2004, but a stamp still remains there. Now, the beautiful card showing Mount Fuji was issued during the wartime for fundraising. Now, at that time, there were 4 different types of postcards were issued. These postcards had a stamp. See, at the back, you have material for hope. The space is clear for you to write. And the stamps are all, there are 4 different stamps. This wartime stamp. And then one of them carried a beautiful picture of Mount Fuji. And the normal postage charge was 2 cents. The card was 2 plus 3 cents. The 3 cents was surcharge for the war funding. So that is what that is. And then when the emperor made a trip to Europe, okay, and the stamps are issued. It's a complete sheet I have, and also a small souvenir sheet and a second-hand pair of stamps were issued for the Emperor Hirohito, who became the first Japanese emperor to visit USA during a 7 nations tour of Europe when he had stopover in Alaska. To commemorate this visit by Europe by Showa Emperor, a pair of stamps were issued and miniature sheet was also issued. And this is a first day cover and a stamp which is issued by Germany to commemorate the thing. Maybe that's the first time you see a photograph of emperor and empress on the cover. Now, this is a Japan-USA relationship. And of course, you know, Japan-USA relationship was from 1853 when Commodore Perry came and knocked on doors and said, open your doors, you cannot keep it closed to the shogunate. So the shogun had no other go except to open the doors, seeing the 9 ships with big guns. And then that's where the relationship started. And then the relationship went, they learned a lot of things. Later on, with the same West, they fought. Then the same West put the destructive atom bombs on them. But the friendship continued today. After that, America helped Japan to grow. Japan was a great learner and great practitioner. So it is. So this is a set of second-hand stamp, and it's a miniature sheet that was there. And this is drawn by one of the artists there in Japan, and this Japan user. And this is what I told you, the Suruga Bay. You can see the road to Suruga Bay. Then the first the Shinkansen. Then again, this stamp was issued in 1996. On this side, letter writing day. One of the stamps here is Mount Fuji, and that is in 2006, 10 years after that. And then 1999, there was another stamp of Mount Fuji, all commemorative stamps. Now, the Rotary Club had their Rotary International Convention in Tokyo in 1978. At the time, with Mount Fuji, a stamp was released by them. Again, Mount Fuji forms a very important thing. This is down below is Hiroshige's thing. This is a set of 1 out of the 3 stamps. Other 2 were settlement for the sumo wrestlers thing. So at that time, there's a drum tower there. The drum tower was there. But you can see drum tower again has got Mount Fuji at the back. And this is Hiroshige's 53, but it has got already 55 stamps here. Then he has also made beautiful stamps of Mount Fuji. The one on top again shows Mount Fuji On the right hand side corner top, you can see a light white, you can see. That is in 2000, 2001 again, is because this is a series of international letter writing week they were used, I think. And then Mount Fuji also finds place in occupation stamp. The set of 12 stamps that you see, that is in 1943 at the Japanese occupation of Philippines, Mount Mayon of Philippines and Mount Fuji, together a block of 12 plus a first day cover. And then issued in April 2nd, 1935, the visit of Emperor Kongte to Japan from Manchukuo. That again Fuji finds over. Then I'm showing you some stamps of Mount Fuji. For international relations, some of the countries have published this Mount Fuji as a stamp. This is a stamp Mongolia has printed to show Mongolia-Japan relationship. Then on the left-hand side, you see a pan with a full sheet published by Thailand showing Mount Fuji. And then here, Japan, Hungary has been printing, releasing a lot of stamps along on Japan earlier also. One of them is now Hungary 140th anniversary of the year 2009. And it also, that's a 50th year of diplomatic relations reopening with Japan. So that is what you see. You get Mount Fuji there. Now, Indonesia and Singapore, they also have their own Mount Fuji's pictures, commemorative stamps for their thing. And then this is Guana. Guana has taken Hiroshige's picture and made it into a sheet. Actually, the stamp is what you see, the thing, but nobody will like to tear that stamp, leaving this beautiful picture. Then Mount Fuji is also on the New Year stamp in 2008. Beautiful sun reflecting on the snow that has accumulated on top of the thing during the winter. And then 30th Congress Association of International Cooperation. So that is again, wherever there is a summit, such thing, definitely Mount Fuji will be one of the stamp occupant of that thing. Every stamp will have something like that to do. Now, I'm just showing, I'm not going into details of the thing, but if you see, these are all the 36 views of Mount Fuji by Okusai. You can see all of them has got Mount Fuji. This is a series that made Okusai very famous. Now, last time also I showed you, this is a Fujisan now glittering in on the right hand side. These are gold foil stamps that are issued. Now, this is the Kanagawa's Great Wave, where you can see down below, you can see these boats in which people are there. There are supposed to be 22 people on the boat, but only 18 you can count on them. The other 4 also sticking around somewhere. Then this Akafuji is called South Wind Clear Sky. That's a name with which it says Gaifu Kaisei. Gaifu Kaisei is the South Wind Clear Sky. It's also known as Red Fuji. It's this Fuji that you see. I've just taken out those stamp portion alone. These are the stamps made of gold, and then they are by Okusai. Okay, and then Mount Fuji is seen in the background, popping up a snow-capped peak, and it is in Japan considered sacred, symbol of national identity, as well as symbol of beauty of majestic elegance. Mount Fuji is iconic figure in many Japanese represent this what you call as Meisho-e. That means famous places. There are paintings in which definitely Fuji will be there. A dark color around Mount Fuji seems to indicate that the scene occurs early in the morning. That is the Fuji stamp, dark color around Mount Fuji. Okay, and then you have the cumulonimbus, the storm clouds are hanging in the sky, and no rain due to the scene. No rain is to be seen either in the foreground scene or on Mount Fuji, which itself appears completely cloudless. And it is very beautifully, delicately projected by Okusai. Then we see Okusai and Fuji. The sea makes a combination. It's a beautiful combination. The same scene, there are three boats are there. They are supposed to be bringing fresh fish to the market in Tokyo from Izu and Bozo Peninsula. There are 8 rowers per boat clinging on to their oars. There were 2 more passengers in front of each boat, bringing total number of human figures as 22. But the boats are generally between 12 to 15 meters. That's how this picture shows how Japanese enjoy being in harmony with nature, in spite of being threatened by nature and challenged by nature. Hokusai created his most famous work, 36 views of Mount Fuji, overall several years, 1826 to 1833. Okay, 2 designs of this series today were uncontested best known works of Japanese artists, Great Bay of Kanagawa and Red Fujiyakabu. Now, this is what Hokusai wrote. I was quite impressed, so I thought I should share it. From around the age of 6, I had the habit of sketching from life. I became an artist, and from 50 on, began producing works that won some reputation, but nothing I did before the age of 70 was worthy of attention. Okay, that gives me a lot of hopes. I'm now 79. Okay, so Hokusai is my role model. At 73, I began to grasp structures of birds and bees, insects and fish, and the way plants grow. If I go on trying, I'll surely understand them still better than by the time I am 86. So that by 90, I would have penetrated the essentials of nature. At 100, I will have the positively divine understanding of them. While at 130, 40 or more, I will reach the stage where every dot, every stroke I paint will be alive. May heaven that grants long life give me the chance to prove that this is no lie. Okay. Hokusai called himself as old man, mad with painting. Okay. Hokusai, of course, died at the age of 88 on April 18, 1849. But he was a great artist. Now, this is Japan also established a mountain day. You can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees, second and pairs, 10 stamps are there. None of the stamps is Mount Fuji, but the whole sheet has got the king of mountains in Japan, Mount Fuji on top. That's why I put this thing, a Mountain Day stamp as a part of this. Now, this is a very interesting, there is also a stamp called a Children's Song Stamp. There's a Fujino Yama is a song. The children, you can see the 50th stamp is there, poking its heads around the cloud, looking down on all the neighboring mountains, and listening to the thunder booming far below. Fuji is the greatest mountain in Japan. It towers high up in the blue sky, wearing a kimono of snow on its body, and its feet unfurls a hem of the fog. Fuji is the greatest mountain in Japan. That is a song in Japanese, but I thought I'll give the English translation for this 50th stamp. Down below, you can see the musical lines there. There's one other beautiful stamp again of Mount Fuji. Thank you for joining us today.